Hi everyone, and welcome to my regular Patreon update about all the stuff that I'm getting up to and how your donations are supporting the work I'm trying to do. And first of all, is as ever, really a big thank you, because I'm almost up to €400 a month in Patreon donations, and actually it's a godsend. It's completely brilliant, and it gives me some seriously good support that I need to be doing the work that I'm trying to get sorted out. So yeah, if you haven't made a donation, when there's no big pressure, I would like small donations the most. Buy a coffee sort of donation, a couple of euros a month. That really helps. Some people have bought a coffee table. Some people have actually contributed to a whole cafeteria, and I appreciate those bigger donations, but the more smaller ones, the better. So if you haven't, then, you can, but if you can't afford it, then don't worry, because, there's lots of ways you could try and support the work that I'm trying to do. Okay, so this update. So what do I want to talk about this time? Things are intense. I am working really hard. It's difficult in 10-15 minutes to give you everything, but I wanted to try and give you a flavor of the stuff that's going on. And at the moment, I'm focused very much on the Solidarity Park Festival. And if I move that, then I stop flicking about so much. And also the podcast show. And I want to talk about both those things today. So first of all, Solidarity Park, the project, as people may or may not know who support me on Patreon, this has been a project now for about 7 or 8 years in reality, but 5 years in real time. And the project is now entering a seriously new era. I'm still waiting for the go-ahead to go on the building site and actually start building the monument, which is the backbone to the project. I keep hearing little whispers here and there, but I'm expecting a call any minute. And when that happens, there'll be another update, which I'll go into details about that. But the most important thing about the project is it's got to the end of the first part of it, if you like, the monument and the community campaigns and all the stuff that you can look into. Now we're going for something even bigger, and fundamentally we're trying to turn all the ideas around the Solidarity project into an ongoing annual festival. And in my mind, I've got big plans for what that would look like. But the important thing is the work I've been doing in the last couple of weeks are central to that. Because basically the project has been, in the last 5 years, centered around, not centered around me, but I've been the central cog, if you like. So we've had thousands of people involved, and locally in Catalonia and internationally, people have really put a lot of effort into this project, well beyond me. But the way it's been organized is I've been very much the central cog in all that, and I'm the connection with all that. Now, with the plans we've got to turn Solidarity Park into a festival, to be, if you like, a focal point for the international struggle against the rise of the far right today, and learning the history and all the things the project stands for, it's just not possible to organize such an organization on the level of one individual in the center being the cog. So although it's very much my baby and whatever, sometimes things grow up, and Solidarity Park is growing up, and I'm really pleased about that. And so the last couple of weeks, particularly, it's been about reorganizing, restructuring, and developing very much as a team what Solidarity Park is going to look like. Now, there's so many sides to this. I mean, I have this is one of my brainstorms, about all the different interconnections of different organizations, individuals, and whatever. It's always been a project of participation, and that's going to continue. And it's really important to get people to actually come on board and take on tasks for the project, and lead them and run them, and shape them in their image. But all the important thing that's the Solidarity Park committee that we've had for all these years, we're broadening out. We're now working very closely with other organisations in Catalonia, particularly Expressos Políticos, which is an organisation which is about former prisoners under the Franco regime, AMECAL, the International Brigadistas Association here in Catalonia, Quince Brigada Mixta, which is like a reenactment civil war group, and lots of international people as well. And basically they're all coming together now in a structure and an organized, a much more organized way. We're going for a new crowdfunding campaign because the idea of building a international festival in the minds that we've got is going to take some serious money, and it's going to take some serious professionality. Although we want to go for a professional project now, but at the same time, we always want to keep, and the word amateur is wrong, but we want to keep the real artist, if you know what I mean, not necessarily big name artist, although we wouldn't, say no to some known people. But the idea of this, the way that we've done this, is that it's the art of ordinary people. It's your next door neighbors, or the guy down the street, or the woman you saw in the local bar, that kind of thing. Because there's enormous talent in all our communities, and really the festival, the project's been about participation of ordinary people and the like. So we want to keep that aspect to the project, but at the same time, as we can't go forward in a sort of amateur organized way, because you can't you don't do a festival just because you say let's all go down the park next week, and everybody bring a bag of food. It's not a picnic in that regard. It's we want to do a serious project which is online as well as physical, that will develop in the next year. So we're going for money. Money's a big thing. We're going to launch a new crowdfunding campaign. I've been working very hard on setting that up. We've been working on the idea of getting grants from local authorities, different subsidies that might be available, all within mind to develop a team of people to help direct and develop the Solidarity Park project. We're looking at a team of 4 people who would in essence have 1 day a week to work on the project. And this is really important because to create a real festival, you can't just pluck it out of your head. It's not just an idea. An idea has to have material forces. So that's one of the key things we've been doing. I worked very hard for the last 2 weeks on an application form for a grant that we're trying to get, that will go alongside the crowdfunding that we're looking at. Any artist that's filled in grant forms knows it's a complete nightmare. And we've had to think how not to change the project's parameters at the same time as fit with the funding criteria. So that's been quite a task, and especially for myself, who's written a lot of the work that's gone into that. But we've got some really good people now supporting us in that kind of task. So we're professionalizing, but keeping the same ethos of the project. And that doesn't happen overnight, because this is a project of volunteers, and it still will be. And even those of us, if we get a couple of paid hours, it's still going to rely on an enormous amount of volunteering work. But the key things of having it as a project of participation, project of internationalism and local, the idea of learning history for the lessons for today, and the importance of involving young people within the schools, because we've obviously in Solidarity Park had an important schools project, but also outside the schools. And tying all that together with the use of art as a tool to explain all those things. So that's where we're going. None of that's particularly new, but the work I've been doing on remodeling, reorganizing, along with the other people, of course, going for money, looking at our social media, working with different associations, basically building a much bigger, broader tent for Solidarity Park, which people can come under and work with us. And also that obviously includes all the artists. I think at the moment we're looking at 65 different artists that are involved in the festival for this May. We're also going for another event in October. So the event in May will be mostly online with some actual live streaming from Margaret itself. October event will be much more live, hopefully, with COVID being less of a problem then, but still a large percentage online. And then for next May, we're looking at, well, hopefully we'll have a proper festival which people would recognize, and I'll do another update about how that festival would look and what kind of ideas are coming into it. But the beauty of it now is because we're working in a much broader team, it's not just what I think, it's what other people think it should be, which for me, the whole idea of the art that I try and do is when I talk about participation, it's about collaboration, it's about working with people, it's about taking their ideas, it's about listening to their ideas, it's about people shutting me up when I'm talking bollocks, which is quite often, and basically working that dynamic into a collective art form, which I think the festival for me would eventually be. So that's the Solidarity Park. Where does that leave the podcast? Because the podcast has been quite central to my work over the last year, and it continues to be so. We're in series 3, nearing the end of series 3. We've got a couple of shows left that are already recorded to put out. I'm putting this out instead of a show, though, this week, because one of the decisions that we've made in the podcast is that we want to fold the work of Solidarity Park alongside that of the podcast. That's important for a couple of reasons. One is the people like myself and Jonas who do the podcast are also the people that are doing the Solidarity Park Festival. And so there's a working balance relationship going on there. So we're looking on that regards for the next month or so to have a 2-weekly podcast, simply because the weight of work in preparing an online festival is ginormous. Really, believe me, it's a lot, and I always have these grand ideas and then realize just the craziness that I've put myself and others into. So there's a practical side to it. But also we're coming to the end of series 3 in some ways. We've got 2 shows ready. Next week will be Tati from Brazil. And I probably want to record one more, and that'll be the end of series 3. And then we're looking at making a new series 4, I guess, but it'll be a series connected to the Solidarity Park project. And it's even gone into the grant applications that we're going to do that. And I'm looking at the moment of about 15 shows that would run, from May up to October. Exact timescales haven't worked out. And it may be more than 15 shows, because the idea is I want to do interviews with the Brigadista families themselves. So, we find out the effects that happened on their families to the Brigadistas that were killed on the Ciudad de Barcelona, or, what happened to them afterwards, but also the connection to what happened to the family, what happened to the mothers of these Brigadistas, what happened to their fathers, what happened to what gap was left behind, what was the reasons they came. So an historical account, but interviewing with the people that are connected. So we're going to do a number of interviews with families. I've already done one. I've got one more set up, and I've got 5 or 6 in mind for that, with families that we know from the Ciudad de Barcelona International Brigadistas. But also I want to interview artists who are involved in the festival. They're interesting people, all of them, political people from different backgrounds, different tendencies of the left. And I'm going to be interviewing artists that are involved in the project, and also connected people, connected historians, activists, this kind of thing. And so the next series 4, if you like, the Solidarity series, will be based around the Solidarity Park project and its broader thing. So I'm hoping people will look forward to that. Yeah, and that's it really. I mean, there's loads of stuff. I feel a bit with the amount of work at the moment. But at the same time as it's very tiring, it's also super stimulating, because the idea that we might be able to put this project seriously on the map as a pole of attraction for the international community in the fight against the far right, for me, that gets me up in the morning. That's what drives me. It's the political lessons that we need to learn, the strategies we need to adapt, and how art can not be propaganda, but how art can be itself, but also be part of explaining the struggle and where we want to go, and what kind of world, what kind of socialist world, what kind of outlook do we want to fight for. So yeah, that's this update. I would just leave with a couple of headlines really. The first one is, get your checkbooks ready. Not that we have checkbooks anymore, but I'm hoping that some of you can make donations to the crowdfunding that we're going to do, but probably more than that, who could you ask, or who could you share this project with? That kind of thing is really how these projects grow, and they grow beyond the first individuals. It's that sharing of the information, of passing on the appeal letters and all that kind of stuff. So, people that support me, and there's about 30 of you on Patreon that support me, have a little think, have 5 minutes. How could we help build Solidarity Park in a project? And obviously contact me directly if you want more information and want more details and the rest of it. So that's the first thing. Have a think about the crowdfunding project that's going to be launched very soon. And then just a simple thing really, but it's something that people don't necessarily do, and that is to subscribe to the YouTube channel and to like the Facebook page. That's dead important, because we're going to be streaming a large part of the festival this May, and it's sizable in the October plans. But I think we're always going to do it from now on. And therefore, for building those two platforms, it's very important. The page has quite a lot of likes, but the YouTube channels hasn't got that many subscribers. So if you've got 5 minutes, do that. And particularly on the Facebook page, you can go on there and share it to all your mates. It really does help. It picks up it means we can reach so many more people, and it's quite a simple task. So yeah, I'll leave it there. Thank you very much again for all your support for me personally, and look forward to telling you more about the projects and the ins and outs. And any of you that are actually in the Patreon group, just ask a question, because transparency for me in the work that I'm doing is not just a nice thing. It's actually, I think it's a political thing, and I feel responsible to the people that are supporting it. And if you're thinking of something you want to know about, then please ask. Okay, take care. Bye, bye.